your forecast first. Sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Take a look at the temperatures out there tonight and readings about 70 degrees, but it's much warmer out of the west. Look at that warmer air from Springfield down to St. Louis. 85 there. This warmer, more humid, muggy air heading in our direction over the next several days, along with thunderstorm chances. Now, we're not worried about thunderstorms tonight, but tomorrow we could be dealing with a little bit of severe weather across the area, something we're going to be monitoring closely as a line of storms will be moving through. We're going to track the very latest on this severe potential when we come back. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now on WCIA 3 News.
Police are investigating after at least two people were stabbed tonight. What we know so far.
Several people who have expressed concern. We want to make sure they have a seat at the table.
One police department has made some changes after George Floyd's death. Now they want to take it even further. Bowling alleys are joining the list of people and organizations that have sued the governor, but he says he's not budging on Phase 4.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Jessica Coons. Police are investigating tonight after at least two people were stabbed in Urbana. Officers say it happened near South Learman Avenue and Ivanhoe Way. WCIA 3's Jen Lask joins us live near the scene. So Jen, what can you tell us so far?
Well, Jessica, when we last spoke about an hour ago, the crime scene tape had been expanded out to this area. However, they have since moved it back toward the house that they are concentrating on in the back of that area. Now, we know at least two people were stabbed and both were taken to a hospital. We do not know the conditions of those victims at this time, but I did speak with a friend of the victims, and the friend told me that it sounds like there had been an argument amongst friends, and that's when it escalated into this stabbing. Now, we are working to learn, again, the conditions of the victims. We are also working to learn on if there is a suspect in custody for this stabbing. And when we find out the latest updates on this, we will let you know. Live in Urbana, Jen Lask, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
All right, Jen, let us know if you hear anything soon. Thank you. Other news tonight, deputies are investigating after they say a 4-year-old accidentally shot and killed a woman. It happened Sunday near the Mach 1 gas station in Tilton. Deputies say the child found a gun in the back seat of a car and fired it through the back of Marita Heil's seat into her back. She later died at the hospital. We talked with the owner of BFF Firearms in Danville today, and he says it's important that people know how to use and store a gun out of reach when there are children around.
There's multiple different ways to store it without it being accessible to young children. Like there's safes that you can put in your vehicle that are only biometric or combination safes.
Investigators say Heil and that child were related. They would not say who owns the gun. Champaign police are investigating a shooting. A 31-year-old man was hurt last night near Joanne and Kirk Lanes. Officers found bullet casings in the road. They also saw damage to parked cars. The victim says he was at a gathering in a yard when someone came up and started shooting. A white Chevy Malibu was spotted speeding away from the scene. That victim is expected to be okay. And Springfield police have two suspects in custody for a shooting on Butler Street that happened yesterday. A man was shot in the arm. Sangamon County Sheriff's deputies found two suspects near Grant and Sherman Streets with guns on them. They both face charges of aggravated unlawful use of a weapon and aggravated discharge of a weapon. The national uproar about police use of force policies has caused Champaign police to change their own. Those revisions were presented to City Council tonight, along with ways they plan to improve how they interact with people. WCIA 3's Jennifer Jensen has more.
In May, after George Floyd of Minneapolis was killed by police, protesters demanded an immediate review of use of force policies within police departments, including in Champaign.
Champaign PD reviewed our policy in June of 2020, with the revised policy becoming effective July 10th.
They changed several things. Of these 8 policy standards, Champaign Police Chief Anthony Cobb says they needed to establish firmer guidelines in their policy for 3 of them.
In June of this year, the Champaign Police Department use of force policy was revised to include de-escalation, an explicit ban on chokeholds, and the duty for officers to intervene
doing an unlawful use of force.
On Tuesday night, CPD met with the City Council to publicly present the revised policy and initiate new ideas on how to improve how they interact with people in the community they serve. The presentation outlined the work that's been done in the past to improve police conduct and highlighted work that still needs to be done into the future to ensure that police are fulfilling their job to protect and serve people.
There have been several protests in our community, several people who have expressed concern. We want to make sure they have a seat at the table and an opportunity to share what their concerns are so that we can start rolling our sleeves up to addressing concerns and issues to find solutions.
Starting in August, CPD will hold a series of town halls between police and people who live in Champaign who want to give their input on the department's policies and practices. That will continue until November. After that, Chief Cobb will establish a Chiefs Advisory Committee made up of a variety of people from different organizations both in and outside of the police department to maintain progress and ensure accountability of the officers. Reporting, I'm Jennifer Jensen, WCIA3, your local news leader.
There will be a City Council study session to review the results of that community engagement meeting after they finish in November. They plan to go over all of the information that was collected and decide what to do with people's input. 4 employees at the Springfield Clinic have tested positive for COVID-19. We're told they work in a non-patient area. There are just over 700 new cases of COVID-19 in the state, bringing the total to over 155,000 infections. 25 more people have died. There have been 7,200 deaths in Illinois. Urbana School Board held its first meeting since announcing its tentative reopening plan. It wasn't supposed to be about the fall plan, but that did not stop parents and teachers from sharing concerns. The district is recommending a blend of remote and in-person learning by splitting students into 2 groups. Each group would attend school 2 days a week, while Wednesdays would be remote days for all students. Officials say this plan would allow for smaller class sizes and 6 feet of distance in classrooms. Board members read some questions from parents tonight. Listen to a couple of those comments.
It's not tenable to leave kids at home 3 days a week. How are parents supposed to work? How many families have the ability to work from home? Not to mention the quality of education at home, lack of socialization. I wanted to write to express my hope that the Urbana School District will offer a remote learning option for this fall. I would guess that ours is only one of many households that have a high-risk family member that makes the prospect of sending our children into the school a perilous one.
The district is still looking into whether it can allow families to opt for entirely remote learning. They have not finalized their plans just yet. Now, this comes as Champaign's school district announced it is revising its back-to-school plans. The district had proposed a blended plan of remote and in-person learning, but after hearing from concerned board members, parents, and staff at last night's board meeting, there were a lot of them, they're going to focus on virtual learning for most students and find out which ones will still need to learn in person. More than 100 bowling alleys are suing Governor Pritzker. They want him to expand the Phase 4 guidelines to allow them to bring more than 50 people inside at a time. The owners of one bowling alley in Decatur aren't sure they're going to be able to survive as things stand now and say they have more than enough space to safely bring in more people.
This is a 50,000 square foot facility, and 50 people in here, it looks like you don't have anybody in here. We were supposed to have 50% of capacity, which would allow us to at least to survive. And the governor, unfortunately, has not allowed that to occur.
In court documents filed in Lee County, the Bowling Proprietors Association says, quote, this restriction is completely arbitrary, as other businesses far more dangerous than bowling centers, such as gyms, restaurants, tattoo parlors, and hair salons, faced no 50-person cap, end quote. Governor Pritzker says just because we're in Phase 4 now doesn't mean we can move backwards.
We've been very measured about how we've reopened our state, and there are many people that complain that where we are now isn't open enough. And so I would just say that I will not hesitate to reimpose some mitigations if we see our numbers moving upward.
But even saying that, the governor has also suggested he could remain open to new ideas about ways to reopen certain industries in Phase 4. One monster truck team wanted to give fans a different view today. How many got a behind-the-scenes look? Plus, the state wants to help people find careers, how they're doing it with this program. And later, doing workouts for high school sports involves more than just showing up. What one team is doing beforehand.